your video. Your video.
श्रीमत् समस्त भूमंडल मंडलायमान श्रीमत् निखिल कला निधि कर्नाटक जनपद संपदधिष्ठान निखिल कला निधि कुलक्रमागत भूमिपाल कुलक्रमागत भूमिपाल कुलक्रमागत भूमिपाल कुलक्रमागत भूमिपाल मकर शरभ साल्व गंडबेरुंड गंडबेरुंड मकर शरभ साल्व गंडबेरुंड शरभ मकर शरभ साल्व गंडबेरुंड इत्यादनेक बिरुदांकित श्री दिव्य रत्न सिंहासनारूढ़ श्री जयचामराजेन्द्र भूमिपाल बहुपराक बहुपराक श्री दिव्य रत्न सिंहासनारूढ़ श्री जयचामराजेन्द्र भूमिपाल बहुपराक looks like Zoom is continually echoing the parak, and I'm trying to find a way to like stop it. Looks like Zoom is continually echoing the parak, and I'm trying to find a way to like stop it. Looks like Zoom is continually echoing the parak, and I'm trying to find a way to like stop it. Looks like Zoom.
You will have to mute everyone and start it. As you'll have to mute everyone. Everyone. You will have to mute everyone and start it. As you'll have to mute everyone.
Ganesh, all are muted.
All are muted. It's really strange.
You will have to mute everyone and start it. As you'll have to mute everyone.
Ganesh, all are muted.
All are muted. It's really strange.
You will have to mute everyone and start it. As you'll have to mute everyone.
Ganesh, all are muted.
All are muted. It's really strange.
You will have to mute everyone.
All right. All right. That was a very interesting beginning to the grand finale of the Maharaja's Darbar. Technology does throw a wrench. While it makes it possible to put together this galaxy of distinguished personalities from the Mysore royal family, we also learned today that it may throw a wrench in that process. But it was somewhat interesting because the parak kept resonating in the chambers of Zoom. So it was an interesting thing. All right. Namaste, namaskara, greetings. Welcome to the very last event at the Maharaja's Darbar. On July 18th, we inaugurated the Maharaja's Darbar as a month-long community-wide proceedings to celebrate the various aspects of the Maharaja's genius. And we began with a curtain raiser where Jayachamarajendra Indrakshi Madam and Kamakshi Devi Madam graced the occasion, and we sort of gave people an insight into what is to follow. There was a discussion on what it is to inherit the JCW legacy and what it means to take it forward in the contemporary milieu, following which Sri Ganesh Shivaswamy spoke about the various processes, institutions, and efforts made by the Wadiyar kings to democratize art and make it possible for the common man to access, to enjoy, and explore art as a medium of self-expression, and also art as a medium to reconnect with history and the past. This was followed by Yashaswini Sharma's a very interesting collage of recollections and vignettes from personal accounts from her family and from people who knew the Maharaja from close quarters. And she made a very interesting point that the Wadiyar kings actually did something way more significant than any other maneuver of theirs, any other administrative mandate of theirs. They actually made it possible. They made democratization of the knowledge systems of India possible. And this was one of their significant contributions to Indian culture, our understanding of Indian culture, heritage, and knowledge systems at large. This was followed by a very interesting panel on the medium is the message this Saturday, that is yesterday, where Srimati Lakshmi Gopal Swami, Maya Chandra, who is one of the co-presenters of the Maharaja's Darbar, and I spoke about how the medium is indeed the message, and the legacies of the Wadiyar kings still continues to outlast their throne because they were cultural leaders and visionaries who made it possible for the culture of South India to be preserved, conserved, and propagated in a manner that is still celebrated today in South India. And that's also one of the very reasons that the Maharaja's Darbar was envisioned and conceived in the first place. And as we continue to celebrate the Maharaja's legacy, we continue to celebrate their legacy in various mediums formats and configurations. So today is the grand finale. I'd like to welcome a galaxy of distinguished personalities from the Mysore royal family. And I'd like to welcome Srimati Indrakshi Devi ma'am for gracing this occasion. Unfortunately, Kamakshi Devi ma'am could not log into the Zoom platform, but I'm hopeful that she will be watching us on the Facebook platform. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us and for being part of this, what promises to be a very, very engaging discussion on the legacy of your father. Thank you very much for joining in. And Jayachamarajendra sir has been a springboard and an inspiration for the many activities that we have taken up here at the Maharaja's Darbar. Jayachamarajendra sir, thank you so much for gracing this occasion as well. We are very, very indebted to your friendship and affection. So as I was gleaning through the many bios of the various of the family tree and the grandchildren of the Maharaja, it struck me that the Maharaja's multifaceted interests and passions continue to live through his grandchildren. I saw and read in the many bios that many of you who have joined us here today are horsemen, passionate horsemen. You love wildlife. Somebody has made a career out of photography on a very, very high level. And what struck me was that there seems to be a continuance of the Maharaja's values of kindness, of empathy, of entrepreneurship, of leading a creative life, of being multifaceted in your pursuits lifelong, and most importantly, his quest for not being bound by disciplinary boxes. So I see all of these values being continued in the Generation X, as we call, as Maya Chandra called them on her Facebook post. So I would like to welcome all the grandchildren. We will continue to introduce each one of you, and we will individually speak to you about what it means to live with this legacy, what it means to take this forward, and what it means to engage with the past while being in the current and looking at the future. So without further ado, and with permission from Raja sir and Indrakshi ma'am, I proceed to introduce Shri Kantraj Ars, who is the son of Princess Gayatri Devi ji and Sardar KB Ramachandra Aras. Welcome to the Maharaja's Darbar. We are very, very blessed to have your presence. Thank you so much for joining in. A brief bio of his bio is extraordinarily long, and his interests are quite varied. So I would keep it short, and all the bios of all the grandchildren will be posted on the Zoom platform for sure. So he did his schooling in St. Joseph's and went on to study journalism, public administration, and criminology at the Mahajanas College, right there. Journalism, public administration, and criminology. That's an interesting combination. He loves wildlife photography and horse racing, and his film on wild dogs, The Pack, won the Green Oscars. So here we have a Renaissance man of sorts with varied interests and passions. Welcome to the Maharaja's Darbar, and I would love for you to speak to us about what it means to inherit the Maharaja's creative, artistic, and extraordinarily magnanimous, legacy in the past.
Well, my grandfather, late Sri Jayachamarajendra Wadiyar, was a great person who left behind a great legacy. Of course, he was a great connoisseur of Western classical and Carnatic music. He was also very well known for wildlife conservation, and he was a musician himself where he composed a number of kritis in Carnatic classical music. My father, late Sri KB Ramachandra Rajas, always spoke of my late grandfather with very high respect and admiration. He did share quite a few incidents when he was with my grandfather. And it was my grandfather who introduced my father to Western classical music. And now, of course, we are carrying on as far as wildlife is concerned. Yes, my grandfather loved wildlife. He was also a great shakar. So wildlife is one of the things. And in the sports arena, the royal family was always involved in the sport of kings, that is horse racing. And I seem to be carrying on in that legacy. There are a few others in the family also who are very keenly interested in the sport of horse racing.
Wonderful. You were also very involved in preventing a forest deforestation near the Bandipur.
Yes, way back in 2003, we did start an organization called Namasanga, where a lot of the villagers who live on the on the periphery of the national park, villagers used to go in for the sake of firewood. And we had done a report where, 2.5 lakh kilo of firewood would go out every day out of Bandipur National Park. Decided we have to do something to save Bandipur National Park and approached Indian Oil Corporation, and they helped us by giving subsidized gas cylinders. And Namasanga came in by giving free stoves to the villagers, because it's the stove that costs a lot of money, more than the cylinder.
Right.
That's where we came, and we have reached almost close to 40,000 connections now. So see where we go from here. It's a big hit at the moment, with a lot of donors from friends and other well-wishers who are very keen on wildlife.
Wonderful, wonderful. I read in the Mysore bulletins from the JCW Reen that he had a keen interest in what they call as scientific forestry, which is also called silviculture. I had not heard the word or even thought of that concept or heard that concept before I read it in the Mysore bulletin. And so in some way, the idea of, preventing deforestation by actually creating other kinds of, remedies, other kinds of remedies for people who may need timber for livelihood. So in many ways, I see a connect with he had a 5-year plan for silviculture from the Mysore Bulletin records. So your activities sort of have great synergy with his vision and his activities in that era. So wonderful. So how do you see his legacy being carried forward? What is instructional about his life that you have tried to emulate and embody?
Mainly that after 1950, he adapted himself very well to the new democratic Republic of India. And if you look at the ways of the Maharajas, not just my grandfather, even his predecessors, they were all for democracy always. And they had a very, it was not a monarchy kind of thing. It was always democracy that was there at the forefront of their rule. So that is something that is there with us.
Firm belief in democratic process. Yes. Are you a piano enthusiast? Any musical?
Not me. I did try to learn piano, but unfortunately, I didn't complete beyond the 1st grade. My sister Deepa Malini completed her 5th grade. I didn't complete. My mother also used to play the piano, and she had completed her 5th grade in the piano lesson.
Oh, wonderful. I think it was yesterday when we had a chat with Lakshmi Gopal Swami and Maya Chandra that there was a question about whether the ladies of the royal families learned any artistic tradition, and I think it was it focused on Bharatnatyam, Maya? Yeah.
It was Bharatnatyam that we were talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So
piano is there among the ladies.
For sure, yes. Rani Vidya Devi is.
Yeah, and
yes.
the mother.
Excellent. So thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to
I think
add?
maybe Kantraj, Kantraj sir, we can ask you, what is it that the one takeaway that you have from his life that you follow even to this day?
Maybe I'm very fond of Western classical music.
Aha.
Few years, whenever we've been traveling abroad with my family, yes, we've been visiting a lot of operas in Vienna. Yes.
Wow, that's
wonderful.
Yeah,
considering that, he had a lot to do with the resuscitation of the Philharmonic spirit in Europe. Yes, that's wonderful. That's great to hear. All right, I guess now I hand over the baton to Ganesh Shivaswamy to introduce another special guest at today's episode.
So on me falls the great privilege of introducing the children of Maharaja Kumari Meenakshi Devi. I'd like to start with Palashri. I'm going to introduce her again. What a scintillatingly beautiful biography when I read it this morning. And there was one thing specifically which sort of came out of this, but I'm going to say that at the end. Palashri studied at Sophia's and thereafter at Mount Carmel College in Bangalore. She married an industrialist, and she is presently the director of Army Forge Private Limited and Duvish Forge Private Limited. She's also the proprietor of Metaform. But what was very interesting in the bio is that she runs a healing center called Samskara Healing, and which is going to launch an institution soon. She has 2 sons, and I think she says affectionately, but I think reverentially, is called the spiritual princess. And to me, when I read the spiritual princess, the first thing which came out was, here is an industrialist and a person equally involved in spirituality. So I'm going to ask you, how do you balance being a businesswoman as also being deeply inclined towards spirituality? Palashri, you're on stage now. Palashri?
Thank you so much for having me and inviting me over. It's indeed an honor to be here amongst you all and amongst my family and friends. It gives me immense pleasure to talk about my grandfather, Maharaja Jayachamarajendra Wadiyar. As I talk about him, we cousins dearly call him Grandpa. And I would wish to address him that way as I talk about him to you all. I was rather nervous when you all asked me to come up here and talk about him. I was like, what can I say? Everybody's saying the best. So how do I fill in the gaps? And that's when I thought about, and I thought I'll speak about the kind of stories I've heard from my mother, the way we have seen a grandfather through the eyes of my parents. So that's what I would like to talk about here today. So starting with, it gives me immense privilege that, I'm here and talking about my beloved grandfather. At the same time, I truly love and cherish him for the person he is. And I did not have the privilege of seeing him, as he passed over before I was born. But nevertheless, I grew up, as I said, listening to the stories from my mother, Maharaja Kumari Meenakshi Devi Avru. So listening to her stories, and when we used to go to Dasra was a festivity where all we cousins who all are present here today, I'm sure would agree with me, we would look forward to going to the palace and spending time not only with each other as children, but also sitting in the rooms like the library or watching my maternal uncle getting dressed for the Dasra. And we would reminisce the past as to what it was like for our grandfather, because we would hear all the splendor and the grandeur of what Darbar was with him. So it was something that was very dear to us and we cherished. And as children, we would try to think about what the yesteryears were and we would talk about it. So that is one very dear memory, which I share about my grandfather dearly to you all. And as I speak further, it was my grandfather had written so many books, and I wanted to read the Dattatreya. So when I was 18, I spoke to my mother and I said, can I read grandpa's book? And she said, sure, go ahead. And I couldn't get past a page. And I was very upset because he's a man of so much of great wisdom and everything. And I couldn't read a page being his granddaughter. So my mother said, give it some time, and then you would be able to comprehend what he has written, and you would understand as you mature and grow up. So as the years passed and we all got busy with, in 2019 with my grandfather's centenary celebrations, again, I spoke to my aunt, Maharaj Kumari Indrakshi Devi Avaru, and I asked her, I would love to read Dattatreya. And could you help me with getting a copy? And my aunt was quick enough and kind enough to get me a copy of the book. And that book has really helped me. And I have got onto my path of spirituality and in a more intense way, thanks to reading that book. My grandfather has in his own way been my guide, showing me the importance and understanding which I got from the book, and I have taken it and have imbibed it into my life. So today Dattatreya is an important part of me, and I hold it with a lot of respect and reverence, and it sits in my library, and I cherish it. I cherish it not only for its, my grandfather, but I cherish it because there was spiritual guidance that came to me, which has taken me forward in my life of spirituality. So that is something dear to me, and I hold on to that, and I'm sharing that with you all today. And I also have to talk about the kind of celebrations, be it Dasra or a simple celebration like Vardanti. These were imbibed by my mother, and these were also celebrated at home. So we would often sit at home and have the birthday celebrated very similarly, like how my aunts, both Maharaj Kumari Indrakshi Devi and Maharaj Kumari Kamakshi Devi, both had spoken about the celebrations in the palace. So very similar things were done for us as children at home, where we used to have Pal Puja and Aarti, and those kind of things were done for us as children. So that's my little take on my grandfather and a little part of me which I share with you all.
That's fabulous.
That is so nice and sensitive. I, as the first granddaughter who's speaking on the panel today, can you share with us anything which your mother said on how the late Maharaja treated his daughters? We are very interested to know how the women in the palace were treated. In fact, it came up as a very interesting question yesterday. How did he treat his daughters?
I think that all the daughters were equally pampered. All the daughters, they all, so the funny thing is, when I was just thinking of what else am I going to say this evening when I talk to you all. And it came to me that until I was 5 or 6 years, when anybody used to say, what's your grandfather's name? I used to say daddy, because that's all I knew. Because that's the kind of reverence and love my mother would often say, daddy, daddy. So I didn't know daddy had, a prestigious persona and something I have to look up to. So finally, once, someone asked me, what's your grandfather's name? And I said, daddy. And my father sat me down and said, mother calls him daddy, but to the others, he's the Maharaja. And that's how I got to know.
Right.
So
that's fascinating you say that. I'd just like to bring this sort of vignette from my interview of Srimati Kamakshi Devi, and that she said, when I asked him what was it to have that kind of a legendary figure at home, he said, we didn't have a king or a scholar or a musician at home. We had a father at home. Although it seems like a very it seemed like a very simple sentence, but it means everything, right? It means it means that he used to drop off all of his multifarious roles and then just come home and be daddy.
That's true. That's exactly what they say in the interviews that we have done so far also, Dikti. Both Indrakshi Devi Avaru and Madam Kamakshi Devi Avaru both speak extensively about how he was just a father to them and how
I'm
he
going to
enjoyed his
post.
company. And she in fact talks about the Dattatreya book in the episode that's going to be published today at 5 o'clock. she speaks about how he gifted her the Dattatreya book. And it's so nice to hear Jaya speak about it. You know, her mother speaks about it in the episode that's going to be published this
So
evening.
if I have to add, I think all the daughters have a lot of fond memories and all of them have been treated beautifully.
Yes.
And that comes down to us as grandchildren too. We are equally, at the growing up years, we all were treated beautifully and been pampered. There was no kind of a differentiation.
So I have a 5-year-old now, daughter. So I have to ask the question: was mischief allowed in the palace? Did your mother ever?
We used to get punished, but yes.
Punished in that way.
But I used to often get into trouble. I'm sure everybody would agree here, all my cousins.
That's why I posed the question to you. So how much was mischief allowed in the palace?
We used to I don't know what I'm going to say. But we used to play a lot of games, and the twins are here, so the three of us are the same age, and we would just, we used to get scared of the dark corridors in the evening after Darbar. So the three of us would, we were like 6-7 years, we used to just hold our langas tight and we used to scream and run through the corridors just because we were scared. And we would always be late, and my mother had a very tough time trying to hold me, or she should bring me back from my cousin's room to get me ready for the Darbar. It was very difficult to hold me, and she used to make me sit and see the evening the Patadane used to go for the procession and for the Darbar. So at that time, she used to make me sit there. That was the only time I would sit near the window, and she would be able to change my earring or even comb my hair or get me dressed. But I don't know how she had the patience, but she did it for me.
Yeah, my wife and I are presently going through that turmoil with a 5-year-old. So yeah, I can imagine how that, it's so lovely speaking to you. And I'm happy that you shared with us all of these little things which happened in the palace, including the three of you all screaming through the corridor. I think that was a fantastic, that was the point of this entire conversation this evening. So anything else before I move on to your brother?
Nothing else. It was really pleasurable to talk. And I would like to say that I strongly believe my grandfather walks amongst us, the children, the grandchildren, and the great grandchildren, blessing us, guiding us, and being a strong pillar of light for us. And I'm truly honored and blessed to be part of this family and this legacy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. In fact, one of the things which I'm going to conclude with is as to how all of your presence has been greatly validating of this effort of Deepti, Maya, and me in putting together some sort of speech or some sort of statement in relation to such an enormous legacy. This is just the beginning of it. Thank you so much for participating with us this evening.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Varchasvi Shrikanta Siddhalinga Raja Ars. I know him as Varchas. I had the great fortune of, I think, opposing you on a number of matters in court, which is when we came to know each other. He is also the son of Lakshmikant Rajars and Meenakshi Devi. Born in 1981, he studied at Bangalore. And at the age of 14, he ascended the Gadige of a 6th century old institution. He became the Matadipati of the Mante Swami Mat, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and the Sri Kapadi Kshetra. He did his LLB at the KLE Society and litigated for a few years, which is when we interacted with each other at the bar. And he's undertaken several schemes, including comprehensive rural development, and he's adopted several government schools. And because of his tireless work, he's been conferred the honorific of Abhinava Rachappaji after this 16th century saint. His wife is Sushma, and he has 2 daughters, Jayadriti and Samiksha. My admiration for Varchas is that he is able to balance modernity with tradition, religion with secularity. And so when I read his biography, I said, my God, I'm going to have so many questions for Varchas this evening. So I'm going to start by asking you how it felt to become a Matadipati at such a young age.
Yeah, good evening, everybody, and Ganeshu Swami, thank you so much for this little introduction. And before I start, I must say that all of you have done a tremendous job with organizing the Maharaja's Darbar, Dr. Deepthi Navratna, yourself, Ganeshu Swami, and Mrs. Maya Chandra. I mean, it's no simple feat. I must say that a lot of effort has gone in, and a lot of finer aspects of my grandfather in particular and the Wadiyar dynasty has come out in these talks in the last month. See here, what can I say? See, certain things I think you're not fully prepared to face. And at the age of 14, I mean, I lost my father early, and through the paternal lineage, I was anointed to become the next Matadipati. So at that age, frankly speaking, I didn't know what it took for a person to get into the position of a Matadipati and what is expected out of him. But the earlier years that, see, both maternally and paternally, when we look at it, families have had a great legacy and a rich cultural tradition which has flown down for hundreds of years. So early years, while growing up at home, we were all introduced to various aspects of it in terms of whether it's the festivities, the celebrations, family bonding together, whether it's at home in Bangalore or even during the festivities in Mysore during Dasara, is what my sister narrated. And other family functions as well. So here, all these exposures, along with, I used to assist my father in the Mat when he was the Matadipati from an early age, and going and helping him with whatever little bit I could as a 10-year-old and 11-year-old gave me a brief introduction into what it takes. And I remember in 1994, when I was 13, I in fact finished my exams early, and when they had the Kapadi Jatra, I went and spent the month with him. And I least expected that the next Jatra would be conducted by me at the year when I was there. But I must say that it's the support which I received from my mother and all the members of my family, which made the process almost seamless. I had to prepare for my exam while sitting in Kapadi for the Jatra. And I think I've missed one exam in 9th grade. That was the first Jatra which I had to attend. But based on how I'd done in my midterms, they pushed me to the next level. So yeah, I think it's a combination of what our early years taught us in terms of the strong value system which was imbibed into us, which helped me to a great extent in taking up that role. And now it's 27 years. I don't know how time has flown past so soon, and the experiences have been something which I couldn't have expected anything more from it. I've done whatever little bit I could, but yes, it's been a great journey so far, and hopefully it's going to take me a few more years before I can say that I've at least achieved or accomplished what I had to in as far as the Mat is concerned.
That's
yes.
a very interesting thing. The thing which I was taking out of it was how you missed an exam for the greater good. I think that is such a Wadiyar thing, where people sacrifice for the larger public. And we've all heard about how the jewelry was liquidated, or personal assets were liquidated for the larger good. And in that sense, you are indeed living the Wadiyar legacy. I have another question for you. And when you said, when you took on the Mathadipatiship at such a young age, what just I'd like to ask you on a personal note, how much we talk about democracy and how much we talk about democracy in the sense of entitlement, but how little we speak about democracy in the form of shared responsibilities. We are all talking about I'm entitled to this, I'm entitled to that, but we expect only few people to be responsible about it. What do you think about shared responsibilities as we talk about democracy?
The very concept of democracy, when you try to look at it, it's of the people, by the people, for the people. So when it's people centric. So when it's a bundle of rights which you get in a democratic system, those bundle of rights, I think, become meaningless if the responsibilities which those citizens get along with those rights are not addressed. So rights, what you get as a citizen, is something which you get individually, but it's the responsibility which you owe to your country. And I feel, it's extremely important that, however we, exercise our rights over whatever is guaranteed to us under law or whatever is fundamental. Likewise, that there should be a collective responsibility to ensure that the chakra of democracy keeps turning, and it's only possible when both the arms work together. So they cannot outweigh each other in terms of importance. I think equal recognition should be given to your rights as well as your responsibilities, and that's what makes nation, I feel, complete. And here again, I mean, I was just reading up a few of my grandfather's speeches on various occasions, and I did find something which is probably connected to not democracy, but about freedom and liberty. I'll just, if I
please
be permitted to quote.
Please do.
So my grandfather, I quote His Highness Jayachamarajendra Wadiyar, and I quote, "If you want me to give a verdict as to which of the two objects of education is more essential, I would at once say that I attach the greatest importance to character, the source of all our inner aspirations and the origin of all our outward conduct. Freedom without discipline and liberty without self-control will lead to disorder. Learn the dignity of work, labor with your hands and with your brains, and do your duty. Let truth, honesty, courage, and unselfishness be your watchwords." And I close quotes here. So I mean, it's very clear that when you even look back at the Wadiyar dynasty and the kingship, which for the last 200 years, the very democracy took birth not in 1947, but in Mysore specifically, but 100 years even before that. And it's with that principle that the family also came forward. And when we look today back at how these strong principles were imbibed into not only the governance, but also in our family, I feel, in today's world, it's all the more important, because we do hear a lot of people making a lot of hue and cry on basic rights, but when it comes to shared responsibility or collective responsibility, no one stands together. So yes, that's all.
I absolutely agree. I'm so happy that I was given the opportunity to pick your mind on that, because this is something which has been occurring to me of late, about how we all have this feeling of entitlement, but how little shared responsibility is there. And I'm so happy you quoted from your grandfather. I'm going to move from something serious to something. So did you run down the corridor as well? at the dark corridors of the
actually,
palace.
I in fact wanted to add something there. It's when you speak about being mischief and all that, it's not our generation, it's the previous generation. You should ask them.
Oh, you must tell us. You must tell us. Oh, everyone's giggling on the platform now.
I'm sure all the cousins here also will agree, because there's only one culprit you'll find here on this.
Oh, I see. Who?
that is my dear aunt, Jayachamarajendra Indrakshi Devi, and so whenever we
Oh,
see her in the
whoa, what
palace,
a surprise.
Oh,
Really?
There's something exciting here.
I mean, she was the
That's
younger
just,
one.
I've been
Which
an
they haven't
excellent
yet
cross-examiner.
Yeah.
Yes, let's hear from you.
So we would request our my mother and my aunts and all that, whenever we were in the palace, to take us around the residential quarters of when they were children, which is not in use today. And so whenever we would go there, Indranti would take us to my grandmother's chamber, and then she would say, this is the punishment corner, and we had to kneel down here whenever we were caught doing something wrong. And Indranti said, I used to spend a lot of time here, and so did my mother. Mama also was known to be a brat, even my uncle, Mr. Wadiyar. So I think the three of them out of the six were the naughtiest. And Gayatri auntie was much older, and Kam auntie is the more softer kind, is what I understand. And Vishanti again was the youngest of the lot. But I think my cousins can correct me if I'm wrong anywhere, but I feel that the naughtiest of the lot were the three. That's Mama, my uncle, Mr. Wadiyar, and Indranti. So we just tried to be a little naughty, as try to take a leaf out of their books to see what we could do, but I don't think we anyway can get close to what they have done in the palace.
Wow, that's a revelation.
That's quite a revelation for me too, because Madam Indrakshi Devi has been very quiet through the interviews. She's watching us here. I think we should pick her brain a little bit.
No, but the other important thing is that Indranti has always been the pillar of strength for the family. She's always been the one who's held us together. She's always put up a very brave face in the most difficult times. Actually, all of them, they've faced a lot of hardships, but no one's ever given up or let anyone down like that. They've all stood together. So that's another, I think, thing which I've noticed in the family, that whenever there's been a difficult time, everyone come together, regardless of we may have small differences here and there to whatever it may be, but at a time of distress, when we need to stand together, we've always stood with each other. Yes, so that's. I hope I won't get punished by Indranti now.
Yeah, we should get Indrakshi Madam on the
To weigh in on this revelation.
Yes.
Madam Indrakshi Devi or
Vartara?
She's right here.
Yeah. So you can reveal something that you haven't revealed in my episodes.
No, I think she switched off the. She's consulting somebody to find out whether she can say something. There we see her smiling away.
I think.
You'll have to unmute, Amma.
Wait, I'll unmute her.
Varchas.
Yes.
You brought him. Amore, the spotlight is on you, Iga. It went from grandchildren to children.
Vachi, what is this?
You're in the limelight.
Is there any anecdote you'd like to share, Amma?
Once my brother Srikanth Narasimharaj Wadiyar, Meenakshi Devi, Kamakshi Devi, and myself, we were climbing on that wall of the Karikal 30 and walking around. Just then our daddy's vehicle came, and we all got scared that daddy will say, will see us. We all jumped down onto the another terrace, And then he came and told my mother, there are a lot of new monkey pages, monkeys around the weird thing. Then so my mother said, who was that? So I said, the children are walking on the wall of the palace compound. Yeah, it was this thing, but she didn't say anything because my father said no, not to punish them or anything like that.
Amore, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I mean, the whole point of this conversation was to speak both about things which are serious, as also to find out who's playing mischief and what you all did. I mean, it was really to try and get a deco into the life in the palace. Varchas, anything else you'd like to tell us before I move on to Maya?
I'll come back in the end. I just wanted to share
Sure.
something. That
Absolutely, absolutely. Maya, all yours.
Yeah, that was very, very interesting what just quoted from the speeches of the Maharaja, and how shared responsibility is such an important thing. So we now move on to the sparkling twin daughters of Madam Princess Kamakshi Devi and Prince Atmanya Dev Jhala, the twin princesses. Yes. Jahnavi Kumari, the Maharani Sahiba of Nabha, and Gautami Devi, the Maharaja Kumari of Nabha. It's my pleasure to introduce both of them. Both are the twin granddaughters of the late Maharaja Jayachamarajendra Wadiyar of Mysore. They married into the royal family of Nabha in Punjab, a royal family that has a very, very large history and legacy of its own. Of course, like all the other grandchildren, they also studied at the Sophia High School in Bangalore and graduated from the Jyotirniwas College in Bangalore. They have a degree in industrial relations, and I'm sure both of them were studying together in the same class, same course, same teachers, correct? So as confused as we are about who is Jahnavi and who's Gautami, so we let them unravel the secrets of being the twin granddaughters. And they are currently joining us from Delhi, where they're living in Delhi, both of them, and they're currently joining us from Delhi. It's such a great pleasure to introduce both of them, Jahnavi and Gautami. Thank you for being part of this. And what is it that you can share living with the legacy of a granddad and the princess?
Namaste. Thank you so much for having us.
Most welcome, most welcome. It's
And
a lovely platform for all the Gen X.
And it's a great honor to be here. And, from our perspective, we are really of the opinion and understanding that, his legacy is totally intangible. And it's, something which cannot be measured in terms of wealth or anything like that. But it is worth its weight in gold, because it's all the deeds and all the good things that he has done that is of vital importance. And the deeds of do-gooders are remembered till posterity, and that's exactly what transpired vis-a-vis his actions and initiatives, which were carried on by him throughout his entire life. We as his granddaughters feel honored to have received this rich legacy rendered onto us by word of mouth, by our mother and our aunts and all the elders in our family. And we feel that he embodied perfection and excellence, which doesn't come to all the weak. It doesn't come to the weak-willed people. And no matter, what we can learn from his life is that no matter what one's standing is in human existence, one should always foster respect, kindness, and admiration and appreciation for all those around us, and make everyone feel like they are in a good place, and to try to spread as much as positivity around you as you can. Yeah. And as my cousin said, it's also true, we really used to run around, but she was the boss, and we used to just follow her around everywhere. And really have memories, of the palace. And at one time, she even made us sit bareback on an elephant. And all of us in our frocks, and I don't think that's an experience we can ever forget. And we had a ride around the palace. So, all this, and it's his legacy, which is just, we try to do our best in whatever way we can to live up to that.
Yeah, that must have been wonderful. I mean, these were some of the things that your mother also spoke on the web episodes that we are doing right now, the YouTube series of interviews that we are exploring the lives in. She spoke about how their parents inculcated the most important values of being respectful to others, being very humane, compassionate, and loving to everybody around you. And I think that I can see in each and every one of you, because this was the first time that I spoke to many of you, and we were able to coordinate together to come on this platform. And when I spoke to each and every one of you, I realized how humane all of you were, how compassionate, and with so much of respect that you talked to us, because we all think that being grandchildren of the Maharaja family, you would have some heirs and you would be, in a different platitude altogether. But somehow, it was so amazing that each and every one of you just spoke like a friend for many years to me. And that shows how the culture has permeated down from the legacy downwards. Isn't it? It was just amazing. Deepti and Ganesh, this is something that I have experienced with every one of them. And I think it's something amazing that they are so humble and simple and absolutely no airs with anybody. And they're all so friendly. And this is exactly what we spoke. Yeah.
Thank you. That's really kind of you to say. That's what we try to imbibe from his legacy.
Yes. And also you went in from the great Wadiyar dynasty to another great dynasty that you were both married into, the Nawab dynasty, which has such a huge legacy of its own in Punjab. So how was this transition for both of you? How did it really turn out to be for both of you?
The transition was quite easy because the family values are the same. In fact, from my husband's side, we've had a freedom fighter who was Maharaja Ripudaman Singh, who was a freedom fighter who, facilitated independence and fought the British. And he was, in fact, sent away to Kodaikanal. He was made to abdicate and sent to Kodaikanal because the British thought it was too much of a threat to now. So the transition was very easy because the family values are the same. And also, my mother-in-law is the daughter of Maharaja Jayachamarajendra Wadiyar's sister, who was married into Bharatpur. So it also made the transition so much easier.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful, isn't it? So what is, apart from the values of humanity and being kind and compassionate with everyone, what are some of the values that you find similar with both the royal dynasties?
There's a sense of public service. There's always a need to, I found in both the families, there's this great desire to help people. When even during this COVID period, my husband's side of the family, they fed a lot of people, a lot of charity was done. And I feel that the more privilege you have, the more you have to help. You are in a position to help people who really need your help. And it's an honor to be able to do that in this day and age. It's a real honor to serve people, to help people, and try your best. No matter how small or big the deeds you do are, you can do a simple thing, but it should be sincere. You have to do it for people, and you have to do it for society as large. You should try and help everyone you can and improve your society and improve the other people around you, help them also rise up. And I think this is one of the similarities in both the families, is what we see.
Yes, I can see that, because this is such a magnanimous and a generous dynasty that have done so much of good to the land and its people, and the legacy is very strong. And it's wonderful to hear that even to this day that you're doing this kind of work in the places that you are in, isn't it?
And we hope to inculcate all this in the future generations as well. So to expose them to their ancestry and everything. So you learn by watching and observing everyone around you. And we've learned from our mother and our beloved aunts. It's been like throughout our childhood. And as Palash said, our entire experience in Mysore, our growing up together, we were all of us together, always doing something, always, there was always the sense of being together, helping each other, and being kind to everyone around you.
Yeah. So could you talk about some of those little anecdotes and memoirs of all the cousins playing together? I think most of the time it used to be during the Mysore Dasara that all of you get together.
Yes. As Imranti was saying, they used to walk on the parapet of the palace. We all tried that once. And we were walking on the roof. I think Kantraj was there. And
you have to remember me because I saved the day for you.
Yeah, we were all walking on the roof of the palace, and our uncle, the late Maharaja, he saw us and he shouted and he said, all of you get down right now. And we got scared. We got scared and froze and we started crying. Kantra helped us. I think Oma and Kirti ran away.
Oh, who ran? Oh, my God, that's your
my
brother.
And Kirti, my sister.
Okay.
Oh, and then
they ran away.
Yeah, and then after that they locked the the door going up to the roof, so none of the kids could go up again. So
was there something that you guys missed doing as normal, ordinary children in that day and age? Did you miss out anything that you thought you should be doing and you couldn't do because of all these bindings of being the royal family?
No, not at all. In fact, we led very simple and very normal lives. It wasn't that you were given special privileges or anything. It was just very natural to us, and we were not restricted from doing anything. Or we didn't feel that. We didn't feel that at all.
Being twins and being the same class, same school, same thing. I mean, was there any mischief that happened being twins with other people playing pranks? I'm sure it was used very well.
Yes.
Lots.
In Jyoti Nivas, we were in Jyoti Nivas College, and my sister got married before her exams, and she didn't have enough attendance. I hope nobody in Jyoti Nivas watched. They don't know that is what we did. My sister sat in the library and gave the attendance, pretending to be me for 3 months or 3 weeks, I think, so that she could give her exam. And nobody was not.
Whoa.
Like advantage of being twins. Huh?
Yeah,
that's very
advantage.
That's very cute, yeah. What about in the palace? You trick your mom and dad and, do all those funny things that twins always engage in?
I think our parents and our aunts were too clever. We couldn't trick them. They knew exactly who was who.
Okay.
Granny knew who was who, so we could trick them. I don't think Mama ever got confused as to who we were, so she always knows who's who. My dad gets confused, but not my mother.
Oh, that's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. Is there anything that you would like to talk about how you live by something that's imbibed by you? You talked about social service, you talked about philanthropy, but is there any strong learning that you would have heard about Granddad and then again from your mom and something that she would have told you?
She's always spoken so highly about him. And in fact, Janvi does play the piano, and though I tried, but I found it really difficult. I couldn't go past grade 2. And the interest for music, the thirst for knowledge, which is, I think it's something which keeps you going, to learn new things, to, learn learn new things about different cultures, different countries. It's a very engaging and a learning process, which I find is really what we feel is really a part of his legacy. The thirst for knowledge and to have excellence in everything you do. It can be anything, but just be the best at what you do. It could be even a small thing, but that small thing impacts so many people.
Okay. And have you been imbibing all this legacy, I'm sure you have, into your own children and continuing with the same value systems and heritage? And
I hope we
the
have.
storytelling can be much real in your case, unlike normal kids which hear tales of the kings and the queens. But in your case, your children will hear real tales.
Yes, we hope we are doing that. Janvi has one son and I have one son, so they are at the moment studying. So we are hoping, they are seeing and learning, and we are of course even telling them stories about their great-grandfather, and hopefully they will learn, or they have already learned and imbibed what we have tried to teach them.
Yes.
Wow,
At this moment, I'd like to quote. I'd like to bring to everybody's attention a very wonderful quote. In fact, I'm beginning my book, the English biography of the Maharaja, with this quote. I think this was Rajachandra sir gave me this quote, and this quote in a way sort of summarizes what the Maharaj Kumaris were speaking about. He says that several positions of honor and dignity I have held in my life as a result of the circumstances of my birth. But there is one position, one destiny I have carved out for myself, and that is as a student, shall I say an advanced student of literature, history, philosophy, music, and above all, our ancient culture, which illuminated my path and serves as a perpetual refreshment for my mind and soul. So this sort of reflects very well on what you both just said, this quest for lifelong learning, renewal and rejuvenation, and using knowledge as a means to anchor your soul. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you. Deepti, over to you to introduce Rudra Pratap, Aditya, and Samyukta.
Yes, it's my privilege to introduce Rudra Pratap Singh. He is the son of Princess Vishalakshi Devi and Thakur Gajendra Singh. And Rudra, I have noticed, is a very soft-spoken person who likes to likes his recluse. We're very happy that he's come out here today and is willing to share his thoughts on what it is to live this legacy. He is an interior furniture and graphic designer. He has a keen interest in upcycling and recycling old furniture. He has a penchant for the exotic, one must say. He loves sustainability in design. That's so much in line with the views and ideals of his grandfather. He is a passionate horseman, and Samabhava, an NGO that rescues and treats injured working ponies and horses, also works closely with Rudra Pratap. He's worked on many horses with psychological issues and has helped them lead a normal life. The other great passion of Rudra Pratap, is wildlife. He has spent a lot of time in the forest, and he's helped his parents with the rehabilitation of 2 leopard cubs into the wild in association with the forest department. So clearly in his bio, one finds so many resonances with what was dear to the Maharaja. So welcome on board, Rudra Pratap Singh. Please share with us how his values and legacies live through you, speak through you, and act through your acts of compassion and empathy.
Thank you. So wildlife is a huge part of our lives, my sisters and mine, including our kids. And it obviously, the interest in wildlife has come from him through my mother to us, and So, it was like for us when we were kids, when we used to go to the park, either Bandipur or Nagarole, we used to hear a lot of stories about the trips that they had as children, my mother and her siblings with their father. And also in the parks, there was so many locations that connected with him. Like there was this shooting box in Bandipur, and there was this a mounting dock for the elephant safaris, and there were these bungalows and everything. A lot of that was built by him or built during Krishnaraj Wadiyar's time. So everything in the parks had some connection. It just felt like home from when we were kids. So it still is like home for us, and it's probably because of our mother's love for wildlife, and she set up this resort and in Bandipur, which allowed us to spend that much more time in the park and learn about like whether it was bird life or learn more about wildlife or the animals, which was I mean that opportunity was there because of the resort that was set up, which otherwise wouldn't be as easy for for us to spend as much time away from Bangalore. So yeah, I mean that is one of my the things that I would like to carry forward, a great passion of his as well, which I think there's some article that an old forest officer, a retired forest officer, had written. He said he mentions that he was going to the jungles by himself as early as 1932 when he was just 13 years old. And he would keep a notebook and a pen with him, and jot down whatever caught his interest. Right. So obviously that he was a student of nature right from a very young age, and we were lucky to be students of nature from our childhood as well. Yeah, we hope to carry that legacy forward, and hopefully our children will as well.
Right. His empathy for nature and conservation and wildlife and his interest in conservation lived on through your mother, and it's living on through your endeavors and efforts. Wonderful. And you have an interest in sustainability.
Yes.
Well, tell us more about that.
I mean, that I think is it's just an interest that it started with looking at a lot of stuff that people used to chuck out as junk, whether it's furniture or mainly furniture and stuff that like for example, like an old sewing machine that didn't work anymore, people would chuck out. So these sort of things caught my interest to see how I could upcycle that into something else which could be used instead of just being jumped. So that's how it all started. And I think overall, yeah, we do need to have more sustainability in furniture and interiors, and as much as we can.
Right.
So that is something that is very close to my heart. And so I started an interior design firm, and most of the work that we carried out has been restoration of furniture or upcycling of old pieces of furniture, where whatever we could salvage, the good parts of the wood, we'd reuse. And the old wood was so well seasoned, so
right.
it would last much longer. Whereas now, if you go, you buy hardwood, it's not seasoned long enough. So, quite often you start seeing warpage in the furniture after it's being put together, because it's not dried out properly from the inside.
Wonderful. Wow. You're also, I would say, a wholesaler of ideas. There's so many diverse interests and endeavors that you're engaged with. Wonderful. So if I'm not wrong, I think you, Aditya, and Samyukta were somewhat the same age group, and you were,
And Ratchas, yeah.
and Varchas were somewhat a cluster. And
Yes, yeah.
I'm sure there's a nice closet of memories that you can dig into and share with us. Some distinct memory of growing up in Bengaluru, or at the Mysore Dasara, or
I think so. In Bangalore also, we were lucky that we were all, while growing up, we were all close to each other within the similar sort of area. So we would meet up during holidays, and we'd go to each other's house, either Varchas's, Adi and Sam's, or they'd come over to mine. We used to spend a lot of time playing, and of course, we used to cycle a lot within the Bangalore Palace premises. So we had a really great childhood in that aspect. We really, and it was like, a large part of it was still like a jungle, which still, a large part of it still is like a jungle. So, we were exposed to the outdoors really early in our lives. And with regard to Mysore, of course, we used to spend the entire 10 days initially when we were growing up in Mysore, and we all stayed in the palace. So the regular routine used to be that we'd get up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning, and whoever got up first went and woke the others up, and we'd go down to the stables where my uncle had a stud farm. And that before their feeding time, we used to try and get them.
I think he perhaps got disconnected for a little bit. Rudra Pratap, can you hear us? I think we might have lost him. We will get back to his section a little later. Meanwhile, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Aditya Gurudev to today's proceedings. Aditya is the youngest among the grandsons of the late Maharaja, and he is the son of Maharaj Kumari Indrakshi Devi and Sri Rajachandra Ars. Aditya completed his schooling and college in Bengaluru. He graduated with a commerce degree and went on to pursue a master's degree in business systems from Monash University, Melbourne. After completing his degree, he moved back to Bengaluru and worked in the real estate sector with the developer before eventually shifting focus to manage the family's real estate. He's passionate about motorsports, and he says he dabbled with some go-kart racing at the national level. That doesn't sound like dabbling at all, but he's modest about it. He enjoys the outdoors and is an avid wildlife enthusiast and loves birds and loves to escape the city and head out with his family at every opportunity into the arms of Mother Nature. He's married to Anupama Reddy, the granddaughter of K.C. Reddy, the Chief Minister of Karnataka. And recently, I think congratulations are in order. They were both recently blessed with a little baby into their homes. So welcome, Aditya.
Thank you.
Proceedings. I guess, I think Rudra is back. Rudra Pratap is back. All right, but Rudra
so we'll
Pratap,
let Rudra finish. Yeah.
No, we sort of lost you halfway. I've just introduced Aditya. Is it?
Yeah. Anyway, it was almost done. So.
Wonderful. All right. So we will have the opportunity to engage with all of you in a more informal, have the whole panel open up their closet of memories and talk later on. So thank you very much for sharing your views and memories. So Aditya, please do share with us. This is your moment. Tell us what it is to live with the Mysore legacy. And you have at home the most avid chronicler of everything Mysore. And it is to live with that staggering presence also, and who I mean.
Yeah, I mean, well, it gets easy and it makes you lazier because everything's already printed in, or you don't have to look up anything or read anything, because everything you want to know, I can just call him up and ask him, and I get all the information straight up. So in that sense, it does make you a little bit lazy, but yeah. So firstly, thank you, for organizing this event, and there's so much information about my grandfather that's shared with the world and even with us. There's so many things that we learn every day, because there's so much to learn. Thank you, Deepthi, Ganesh, and Maya, and the entire team. And thank you for having us. What it is like to live with the legacy is, we're all, immensely proud of being a part of the family and having such a rich heritage. It's something that it's a bit of a unique feeling to have so much adulation just by association. So
Right.
and we get a lot of respect and love from all sections of society. So it's something that's really nice. And I think it's things that I've imbibed from my mother, who's probably obviously imbibed from her father. Living a fairy tale life in the Grand Mysore Palace, and then transitioning to a regular life, and being very humble. And anyone who knows her will agree she's extremely down to earth and humble. So that's made it very easy for us to learn and understand how we should be with people, and how we should live our lives, and what we should strive for. And so my grandfather, like, he's such a multifaceted person that and he's excelled in every field, and it's something that inspires me personally, and all of us, to be the best you can be in everything that you touch in life. And I think that's one of the main things that you feel proud about and try to emulate.
Right. What is the one thing that you want your next generation to carry forward, your son to take forward?
Oh, that's so hard to say, because there's so many things. I mean, like, I think if
I know.
I think to start off is, I think the way my grandfather obviously balanced his work and private life, because my mom and her sisters always said that he was such a devoted father and a loving husband. So that's something I would strive to be. And also, obviously, he had so much on his plate, and at such a young age, and he managed it so well at a very crucial phase in our country. The transition from monarchy to democracy, and actually, like, and in this day and age, it's really nice that there's so much information available, on the internet and media and whatnot, because I don't think there was that much information available earlier. And I think we were sort of looked at as more as the puppets of the British, I think, largely popular because of a popular Doordarshan television serial. But anyway, yeah, I mean, at least personally, what my father actually took this initiative. My grandfather was a big patron of various sports. So my father set up this the Maharaja Jayachamarajendra Wadiyar Sports Center in Palace Grounds. So we promote cricket, golf, tennis. So we've had the likes of Roger Binney and Jayaprakash conduct cricket camps, and promote the youth. And we've had Ranji Trophy matches in our place, and of course, the tennis, we've had some people that we've associated with in the past, like various coaches who run academies for young children, and try to get people on the tour, and hopefully eventually realize the Indian Grand Slam dream. And with golf, yeah, we have a golf driving range. It's open to all. And golf is a bit of an elite sport. You need to have memberships, and it's a difficult sport. But we have it. My father's created this, and I've taken a keen interest in managing it. We're trying to promote sports in a small little way that we can, and try and emulate my grandfather's faiths in all of this.
Taking it to the people, creating access, and making everybody's dream possible. So at this point, I'm reminded of EAS Prasanna's recollections of your grandfather's effort to send him to play at West Indies, with the West Indies team, I think. So and also the Ramanathan Krishnan story, right?
Correct. Yes.
So yes, I see you sort of moving along those lines, those acts.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a small contribution when we try to do what we can within our means.
No, every contribution is significant for sure. So is there any tidbit or memory that you would like to share? Any lighthearted memory?
Well, you know,
Insight into
like
the lives of, maybe Varchas.
yeah, I mean, you know, all of us are just regular kids and regular people. To be honest, that's the kind of life we've had. But like all my cousins who've mentioned before, I think the one thing that we all looked forward to was the Mysore Dasara, because that was the 10 days that we spent in the Mysore Palace, and you know, we all lived together, we ate together, we played together. It was just magical. It was surreal. It was like probably the best days of our lives. We had so much fun. We did regular kid things. We'd run around, play, spend time with the animals, spend time with the elders. It was everything. It was just, it was a magical time for all of us. And just to also, we used to spend, so Rudra, Varchas, and my sister and myself are around the same age. So we spend a lot of time together. And just what Rudra was saying, that we used to cycle around the Bangalore Palace because he lived on the premises and he still does. So just like to add to that, Rudra had a hero book back in the day. It was a little moped. And all of us had the cycles. So my sister and Rudra, being the eldest, would take off on the hero poke, and we'd have to cycle around trying to catch them. So eventually we realized that we just never could find them, and we'd find leads from different people where, all over Palace grounds. We looked for a few hours. And then one day we just came back tired, and we realized they'd just go for a little round and come back to the house, park their car, and just sit around in the house and hang out and have us looking around for them for the entire day. So they're evil.
Wow. The theme, the single most, I mean, hearing a single theme in all of your responses is that this identity, all of you have worn with such aplomb. It's not I don't see, all of you straddling these identities or negotiating these identities. Although, these words sound very pompous and nice. I feel that this legacy, this identity sits so well on all of your shoulders, and it's heartening to see that. Thank you so much, Aditya,
Thank you so much
coming to this grand finale, and it truly has been a very, very heartwarming process for all of us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, my pleasure. I'd like to now welcome Samyukta Lakshmi. She is the granddaughter of Maharaja Jayachamarajendra Wadiyar and is the daughter of Maharaj Kumari Indrakshi Devi and Sri Raja Chandra Ars. She is a documentary photographer and photojournalist based in Bengaluru. Her work focuses on vulnerable communities, social inequality, the human spirit, resilience, and climate change. She is a graduate of the documentary and photojournalism program at the International Center for Photography in New York. Her work has been widely published by the who's who, the New York Times, BBC, Bloomberg, Business Insider USA, MIT Technology Review magazine. And for anybody who knows the photojournalism world, this is huge. This is stellar. And she's also worked for Sight Savers UK, the United Nations International School. And on the side, she loves music. She's a budding opera singer and loves the outdoors and wildlife. And she has also studied Carnatic music for 3 years when she was growing up. And so will we hear a Metner aria in your voice soon, Samyukta? I'd like to lead with that question.
I think it's too soon. Yeah, I'm still learning, so I think it would take a while before I could sing a Metner aria. Yeah.
But yes, I mean, I've heard you, and it's just a matter of time before my dream of hearing you sing that will come true. So yes, please do share your views. Clearly, Maharaja had an interest in photography, and you seem to be the inheritor of that legacy and taking it to the world in ways that we're all in awe of. So tell us more about. And you took to opera in the recent past, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did the music bug bite you again, all over again? So let us into that story.
Thank you so much for having us on this talk, and thank you, Maya and Ganesh, for organizing this. Um, so, firstly, I think music was because I think a lot, I mean, we grew up listening to Western classical, ABBA, Boney M, and a lot of music from the 60s, 70s, 80s in our younger days because of my parents and my mother's side of the family. I remember my parents would play a lot of Western classical on the record player in the evenings, and one of the reasons we really looked forward to Dasara and Ayut Puja and Vijayadashmi when we were young was because of the Mysore band, and I think music added so much more joy to the events. I remember my uncle, the late Maharaja, as well as my aunt, Vishalakshi Devi, would always have requests for the Mysore band. I think the cultural atmosphere in the palace had an influence on us growing up. And because of my mother, she made me, I mean, I learned Carnatic music for 3 years, which I didn't pursue later, and I don't remember much. But I've always loved to sing. And recently, 2 years ago, I was also a part of the subcommittee and the committee member of the International and Arts Society, which was started by my grandfather's sister, Rani Vijaya Devi. So through them, I was also again exposed to a lot of music. And I think 2 or 3 years ago, I decided to learn uh, Western classical music. And I think this interest has stemmed from indirectly from my grandfather. Yeah. And I recently, about last year, I learned about his interest in photography as well. Yeah. Uh,
So, what does it mean to take this legacy forward? How do you negotiate your identity? Do you wear it? Do you flaunt it? Or is it an identity that you just let people in a little later after they've known you?
I mean, we don't flaunt it. My mom has made us always lead extremely normal lives. And I think when people get close to you, close to us, they realize that my grandfather was the late Maharaja. Yeah. And yeah. Uh, and what was the other question? Sorry, I missed.
No. I
Okay.
said,
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
do you sort of lead with it, and does it feel comfortable to lead with it? And
I think it's mostly people realize it much later as they get to know us uh, better, I think. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for and any future plans with the lens, armed with the lens. Some of your pictures are they tell stories, like they say, a picture is worth a million words. They're narratives from what I have seen. So how do you intend to take this into the future?
I feel, I mean, thank you, but I also think one of the uh, qualities, I mean, that my mom has is that, and she's learned from her father, is that she's been able to talk to people from various people with I mean, she's been able to talk to different people with such ease, people from different walks of life, and I sort of take that into my photography as well. Uh, uh, to be able to talk to different because yeah, to be able to talk to different people with so much ease is thanks to my mom. I mean, I think that comes from my grandfather as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I feel extremely lucky and blessed to call such a great human being as my grandfather, and we've learned so much through him indirectly and through our parents.
True.
And one of the biggest things that stands out to me is the kindness and generosity that I see in my mother and her siblings, and including my cousins. Um, and the other thing is he was such a uh, I mean, my grandfather adapted to change so easily that I think it's also another character that, that is something that I would like to uh,
Take forward. Yeah.
take forward, yeah,
Yeah.
is to
Yeah.
adapt to change, because change is always a part of your
Right.
life. Yeah.
And all of these are sort of areas of your focus,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
social inequality, the resilience in human spirit, change, adapting to change, and climate change as
Yeah.
people, adapting to change as people and as part of nature. So thank you very much, Samyukta, for sharing your thoughts. I guess it's now time to throw the floor open for a generic and a collective discussion on if anybody wants to share anything. I think Varchas had a couple of thoughts, maybe excerpts from a speech that you had wanted to share.
No, not exactly, but I was going to refer to something relating to my grandfather itself. A couple of years back, we were invited to Tumkur by Kannada Sahitya Parishad for one of the centenary celebrations, and Raja uncle and I accompanied him for this event, and I had the opportunity to speak about my grandfather, and I had to read up about the various accomplishments of his. And during the process of researching and collating all the information, I mean, when we went for the event and I had to deliver the speech, a thought came to my mind that when you look at the various spheres in where he's contributed, whether it's being a family man in terms of the various positions he's held as a brother, as a son, as a husband, as a father, and also when you go on to the public life of his, being the Maharaja of Mysore, then going on to become the Raja Pramukh, the governor, and at the end of it as a common citizen, and his contributions to various areas, whether it's literature, philosophy, music, sports, conservation, you name it, and there is some contribution you would find, of not some, but a significant contribution you would find of Maharaja Jayachamarajendra Wadiyar. So a thought came to me that in that particular event, I even mentioned saying that don't you people think that he's the Ratna of Mysore? I mean, he's the gem of Mysore, and shouldn't the Mysore Ratna be conferred the Bharata Ratna for his contribution? Because you wouldn't come across another soul who's accomplished so much in so little time.
Right.
And in any area you speak about, even whether it's unification of India, Mysore being the first princely state to join the Indian Union and the Dominion, and also he supported Sardar Patel in the process of bringing the other states together. And he held constitutional positions later on, and going on to eventually becoming a common citizen. And in every part of his life, you can see that there has been immense contribution. So one thing I requested in that meeting, though it was not a big event, but a lot of people agreed with me. But after that, I've never got a platform to raise this again. That probably I may sound biased being his grandson, but even as an individual and as a person who studied about his life, even if I was not his grandson, I think I would have probably requested or raised this point somewhere, that due recognition has to be given to him at the highest level for his contribution. And I hope at some point in time, it reaches the right ears and something comes out of it. That's what I just want to say.
Absolutely. The floor is open for all of the grandchildren to weigh in. This is, and then I also would like to invite Maya ji and Ganesh to like.
I think we have left Mr. Rudra Pratap half, towards the end of his conversation. Maybe he would like to complete that, Deepti.
Yeah, I think I was just talking about what we. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. It's breaking up a bit, but you are.
Yes, we get up early in the morning and go to the stables to feed the horses some hay and loosen and help mix the feed and go from stable to stable and with the feed boxes. So yeah, that was fun for all of us as kids to be exposed to horses and to learn at an early age how to be around these animals, which can be quite feisty sometimes, and about how to approach a horse and not from you never approach a horse from the back. And these were things that started off then, and eventually horses became a huge part of some of our lives. Like Kantaraj is a very keen racehorse owner. He's got some really good horses, and we worked together as well for a short while in a stud farm. And yeah, so everything that, even though as kids, whatever we enjoyed doing, eventually in our lives today, also it's carried on. So we just hope that it carries on further onto our children. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, it most obvious, absolutely will. It will. I'm going to share a couple of comments and best wishes shared on Facebook. Narayan Kiran says, the Maharaja, His Highness Jayachamarajendra Wadiyar, continues to live in the hearts of the common man. And Narendra Kyatsandra says, Kantaraj is a knowledgeable wildlife conservationist and conversationalist and dashing too. So, and Ramavarma from the Ramavarma Kilamanur Palace writes, has a compliment in order for Ganesh. He says, gives him the heads up. He gives him the, he's very impressed with Ganesh's anchoring of the whole thing. Dashika Kumari says, lovely to see all of you. LM Nagalinga Swamiji says, happy to hear the views of the younger generation of the Mysore royal family. And Charumati Ramachandran, a veteran musician, says, interesting initiative. Mysore Samsthanam was the sought after destination for many Carnatic musicians from many centuries. Many became Asthan Vidwans at the court, which is always encouraging arts under the Wadiyar dynasty. So we have been able to pique the interest and have people go back in time and remember what it is to reap the benefits of the Mysore Samsthanam, so to speak. At this point in time, does anybody else want to share something? If not, I guess it's time for Ganesh to step in and take it away and close the proceedings.
Yes, I do this with some sadness because we had such a good time. I
Yes.
must confess that what started on July 18th, I think Maya, Deepti, and I never knew that we would land so many people on the platform and talk about such an immense legacy. We started with the melodious rendition of the Parak. We had Maharaj Kumari's Kamakshi Devi Avro, Indrakshi Devi Avro. We had even Brijeshwari Koil join us from Bhavnagar, Raj Chandraji. What an immense support you've been to what we've done. We navigated through so many things, democratic patronage. We spoke about empathy with Yashaswini. The Kirtis were rendered by Deepti. And of course, yesterday we had a stellar discussion with Lakshmi Gopalaswamy. And today is actually such a grand, and I don't want to use the word finale, but what a grand event to have all of the grandchildren come and speak about a legacy. As I was listening to all of you, it kept resonating in my mind. How many families can have grandchildren speak with such passion about what the grandfather did. Most of the time it's been forgotten. The only thing which comes to my mind is what a powerful and eminent personality he was. And Deepti, Maya and I have had maybe a very small privilege in acknowledging the immense contribution of Maharaja Jayachamarajendra Wadiyar. I am indeed, I speak for all of us as I say that this family, and I'm speaking about the entire family now, we have such appreciation and admiration and respect for every one of y'all who've navigated challenges, who've navigated joy, who've enjoyed the mischief of the palace. And it was such a nice thing to see all of y'all speak about it this evening. And I am going to say that all of your presence has been a great validation to Deepti, Maya, and me in our small effort to structure this legacy. We started this series of the Maharaja's Darbar with one picture by an artist, Prithvi Prabhu. He's actually on the Zoom platform today. Prithvi, you must switch on your video, and if you would like to say something, you're most welcome to. And on the first episode, Rajchandra ji suggested to him, you must paint the portrait of, I think, Chamaraja Wadiyar, the 10th. That was the only one which was missing in the sequence. Prithvi was, he was very focused. He says, no, I am going to finish it before the last event. And it came in exactly 15 minutes before we started this Darbar.
Finish.
Yeah, and what a finish. We started with 1 and we are now going to end with 5. And Prithvi, would you like to say anything? You've been so diligent in what you've done. Prithvi, say a few words.
Thank you, Ganesh. Thank you, Ganesh, Maya Chandra, and Deepti Navratna for giving me this platform. First of all, I don't think I would have wished for a better platform than this. I'm getting validation from the royal family. Of course, I should say I'm blessed to get this validation from them. That's all I want to say. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And with this, with a tad sadness, I must say,
yes,
we conclude the series of the Maharaja's Darbar.
Ganesh, just one thing I wanted to add on.
Yes, please go ahead.
What Varcha said, I think, is something that the Maharaja's Darbar should lead into in terms of giving the Maharaja his due. And I think one of the things that many people have been asking for is that our children study many things about many dynasties, but they study very little about the Wadiyar dynasty. And I think it's a good step forward if there can be a movement, if we can have a chapter on the Wadiyar dynasty for our school children to be studying diligently about the contributions that they have done and the way the dynasty has shaped the state that we live in today, and the kind of legacy that we are all enjoying today is very much a contribution of this legacy. And I think there should be some kind of a movement where we can drum up support to get this into the school textbooks and make our children aware of this great, great, great legacy.
Yes, and that is something that's likely to involve multiple stakeholders at the state and national level to sort of reframe.
But I think that would be an apt tribute, like what you were saying, in terms of having something like that go on.
Right. Devika Ghorpade on Facebook echoes all of our sentiments. She says, what comes across is that all of the grandchildren are so humble and grounded in spite of such a grand legacy. And L.M. Nagalinga Swamiji says, I request the Maharaja's Darbar group to take the initiative by giving due recognition to the Maharaja, which Sri Varchas was suggesting. So through this platform and on a digital format, perhaps we can start having a conversation in that direction for sure. Absolutely. And without further ado, with all your permission, we'd like to share Prithvi's love. Yes, we'd like to end today's program with Prithvi's paintings.
Kayo Shri Gauri Karunalahari Toya Jakshi Shankarishwari Toya Jakshi Shankarishwari Toya Jakshi Shankarishwari वैमानिक भामार्चित कोमलकरपादे वैमानिक भामार्चित कोमलकरपादे श्रीमान्वित भूमास्पदे कामित फलदे श्रीमान्वित भूमास्पदे कामित फलदे Shri Gauri Karunalahari Toya Jakshi Shankarishwari Shumbhadimadam Dhonidhi Kumbhajani Bhadevi Shumbhadimadam Dhonidhi Kumbhajani Bhadevi Jambhahita Sambhavite Shambhavi Shubhave Jambhahita Sambhavite Shambhavi Shubhave Kayam Shri Gauri Karunalahari Toya Jakshi Shankarishwari Toya Jakshi Shankarishwari Shri Jayachamundike Shri Jayachamendra 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 Namankita Bhumindra Lalamana Mudade Kayo Shri Gauri Karunalahari Toya Jakshi Toya Jakshi Shankarishwari
All right, I am going to stop the Facebook Live now, but we are